Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and we are back with our season predictions. The 24-25 season is close, it's getting ever closer. And as always, we've got to do our season predictions, see how right or wrong we will be at the end of the season. All the anticipation is there. And I've got the boys, George and Kev and Sam, joining shortly to go through our season predictions. Where will Villa finish? Who will get relegated? Who's going to be Villa's player of the season? Who's going to be the breakthrough star? You will find out our predictions on this show. Before we get into it, make sure you smash that like button. We've gone past 4,500 subscribers. We want to hit 5K as soon as possible. So like, subscribe, and keep your comments coming in. We'll go through each topic. I'll get through as many comments as we can because you guys make the show and I'm sure you'll have plenty of views. George, it's been a while, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, boys. Yeah, it's been a little while, isn't it? I like to try and have a bit of a break, like in the pre-season, because the season taxes your brain, doesn't it? So I need a bit of time to think about something else.
Yes. And Kev, how you doing, mate?
Not bad, mate. Not bad. Raring to go now for the new season. And yeah, I'm all right, mate. I've been away to Devon for a few days. Drove back today, but couldn't miss the pod, could I? And all this wonderful,
Absolutely
exciting
not.
chat.
Absolutely not. How was the weather down in Devon? Had to have been sunny down there, mate.
It was a little bit like Villa's pre-season, actually. Some good, some not so good. Yeah, not as good as I expected. In fact, the weather in Devon, my week I was there, is a perfect. What is it? Metaphor, simile for my beloved Aston Villa, because I thought it would be a lot better than it was, but it still wasn't. It still wasn't terrible, and I'm sure the rest of the summer will still be pretty good.
Yes, I'm sure it will. But yeah, that takes us nice little segue there, Kev, to ask you how you felt pre-season has gone before we get into all our predictions. How you felt pre-season has gone. I know you've been on a couple of the shows that we've done, and how excited are you for the upcoming season?
It's only pre-season, and I can't get away from that. There's been times we've had good pre-seasons and been absolutely stinking. I can't remember what year it was. It was one pre-season. I thought, my God, we've basically beat all and sundry, and we were terrible. Wasn't it one under Gerrard where we did pretty well in pre-season, and then
We did, yeah.
The
season before he got sacked. Like he was sacked about 3 months after.
Exactly. Now clearly you want to beat some teams, get a bit of confidence and all that, but I'll just see what happens when the season starts. As far as I'm concerned, like, it all counts when we kick off 5:30 on Saturday afternoon in London. That's what it's all about. And everyone says about pre-season, you blooding players that have not played for you before, maybe some youngsters. You're trying different systems out, different formations. Is this kid going to be good enough to stick around for the season? A la maybe a Bogard, or maybe like a Barry. They have to go and score worldies, in League One, whatever it is. These new signings, where they're going to fit in. Could I play that player there and there? Maybe not. It didn't work out in that game. It's all about trying stuff out. Now, if you're going to use it as a predictor, if that's the way it did work, that pre-season was a predictor for the season, then you'd probably be a little bit worried, but it's not. So I'm not going to get too bothered about it. I mean, Man City have lost the last 3 Charity Shields, haven't they, and ended up winning the league.
Oh, I think we've lost him slightly there.
Yeah, is he still there?
Oh, he's back.
I'm still here. Yeah.
We got you. But George, I don't know how much of pre-season you've watched. You just said there you took a little bit of a break, but I guess you, as the rational one on this pod, and we'll get your predictions soon because they're pretty rational, I think, as well. Maybe some might cause a little bit of a stir. But how are you feeling that Aston Villa are gearing up for this new season to start?
Yeah, I think the pre-season's been a bit of a mixed bag, really, isn't it? Obviously, like, we had a good win against Bilbao the other day. That was a good game at home. But we played some tough games, haven't we? I mean, going to Dortmund on Saturday, just come runners up in the Champions League. That's a whole new experience for us. We played Leipzig, who are also going to be in the Champions League next year, as far as I know. So we've had some tough tests. It's looking a little bit disjointed. They're looking a little bit, I don't know. It's like, I feel like they're looking a little bit leggy from what I've seen, but maybe they're just, you're not going 100% full pelt, are you, at this stage? And I guess Unai is just trying to piece things together. But I don't know, for some reason, that good feeling we had, we should be top of the world. We just qualify for the Champions League. But everything just feels a little bit not quite right for me at the moment. You've got the speculation around Duran, the speculation now around Carlos. We don't know what we're doing. Is Luca Dean going? It's all a bit sort of up in the air. Whereas, we know we've just lost Douglas Luiz. He's been brilliant. Kamara's out for a few months still. Is that new central midfield going to work? So it's all a bit up in the air. I mean, I've got a feeling we might start off a little bit slow this season, but hopefully we'll grow into it. We know we've got a good team. So, yeah, let's wait and see. Let's wait for the fun to begin.
Yeah, I mean, I put quite a long tweet out actually from. I watched the Dortmund game this morning and didn't watch it yesterday live, but rewatched it this morning, and I felt like it was the way the game went was similar to how we've played in many of these preseason games across these last few friendlies. And it's almost like teams have almost cottoned on a little bit to how to stop us from getting out from the back. And our passing at the moment is just that little bit sluggish to try and get out from the back while he's trying to mold the players into movements in terms of where he wants them to. And I also feel like he needs a target man or something different up front to hit. He needs a player to hit up front, whether that's someone who can run in behind and works the centre halves like or Ollie Watkins might do, or someone who can you can have it into their chest and we can play off. And we haven't got that at the moment, and that's I think suffering. And then I think he's got loads of options in midfield. He needs cover at centre back, and then I feel like there's just a couple of things that could really spark off, like Rogers and Ramsey, but he really needs to tweak it. And I agree with you in terms of I think there's going to be the same for a few teams because of this Euros with the players coming back at different times and the Copa America with players coming back at different times. I think it's going to take us a little bit of time to get into the season, but I think that will be the same for a number of other teams. Don't know what you boys feel about that, Kev, George.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think it probably will do. Watkins hasn't played for us since last season. Hasn't had a
Yeah.
minute of pre-season football. Martinez has played a bit of a game. Obviously, Cons has not played much. All the players that were the Euros, and the Copa America, and a lot of teams in the Premier League have got players at these major tournaments. And a lot of these teams, Premier League, have got players going deep into these major tournaments. So therefore, you're going to get the same sort of problem. New signings, the ones I've got new signings, I'll have to bed in. So yeah, I do expect that, but I don't know. I think if you want to do something in the season, you've got to capitalise when other teams maybe be a bit weak, and that's where I think we've really got to come out the blocks firing. For me, I think it's really, really important. And obviously, West Ham have done bits, and I'm sure we'll talk about that a bit closer to that game. But that's not going to be an easy game, albeit the first game under the new manager. So never know how it's going to go. But yeah, it's not the easiest of starts, and I think Emery knows enough about his squad now, I think, to know probably what his starting lineup's going to be. But be interesting to see if there's going to be any big signings this week to maybe force their way in as well.
Yeah, I don't think Emery is going to be. I think there will be signings this week. I think that Geertruida is probably going to get done. But other than that, any of the big ones, the Felix, I don't think that's going to be. I think that's going right to the wire if it's going to happen at all. It's going to be a tricky one really for him to get anything big over the line, and then whether those people play in the first game, I think Emery's not one to do that. Obviously, we'll talk West Ham more in the week in terms of a preview, but I can't actually see many of the new players starting other than maybe Onana. I can't see, and I don't think Watkins starts in that game either. If I'm being honest. So, but that's a little preview opinion before we get into it. Anyway, let's get into our forecasts, our predictions. So I think we'll go through kind of the general ones first, and I'll give you all of the lads from the podcast got involved in this. So we'll go through some of theirs as well. But you in the comments, please do get your comments in as well for the things that we're going to focus on. Make sure you smash the like button as well, people. We're getting over 100, well over 100 in the chat now. So that's amazing. We're on X and on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, smash the like button. and hit the subscribe button. If you're on X, make sure you follow us at Villa Park Pod and hit the retweet button. Let's spread the word of the channel. And we're also launching the Villa Park Podcast FPL League. League code is WJ38KU. So do join in. I will get my team in and I'll forget about it probably a week or two into the season, but I'll have a go anyway, and I'm sure the lads will. So make sure you join our Villa Park Podcast FPL League. League code is WJ38KU.
Do we know
So
who
let's
won it
start
last
off-
year? Did we look, Rich, to see who was the winner last season?
I couldn't find it, mate. I couldn't find it. I'll try. So relegation. I know it's not a nice topic to talk about, but who do we think are the 3 teams that are going to go down? You guys in the chat, let us know your thoughts. Let's go to you first, George. Who did you have tipped to go down?
Right, literally, I no lie here. I literally did this about 10 minutes before we came on, so it was a bit of a rush job. But I think my 3 to go down, I think I went with Forest. They've they've not really convinced me since they've come up. Spent a lot of money. They kind of sort of try to do what Villa did really when we come up, but they've got no kind of style about them, and they just sort of nick a few results and get out of trouble. So I've gone for Forest, and I've gone for Southampton because I don't think they had any right coming up, really. They were never really in it this year and last year in the Championship, and they managed to sneak their way into the playoffs and get up. So fair play, but to me, their team isn't good enough. And I've gone for Ipswich simply because, they've not been up in the Premier League a long time, reasonably small budget. But, they did impress me last year in the Championship. They've got a bit of continuity with McKenna, and they've gone through League One into the Championship, now up into the Premier League, and that might do well for them. But I'm just for the inexperience of the manager and the side, I'm going to say Ipswich will go.
Yeah. Gary says the 3 that came up. Deontay says Southampton, Ipswich, and Leicester again. And Dale saying exactly the same. Kev, what about you, mate?
Yeah, I think the easy answer is the 3 that got promoted, isn't it? Because obviously that's what happened last season, and the gap seems to be getting bigger. I went for a little bit of a difference to that. I said Ipswich, Leicester, and Forest. I thought Southampton might stay up. The rationale behind that was one of them might stay up, so I just pick one. I think Ipswich will struggle. I think they've had a lot of loan players go back, haven't they? Obviously, they did well with those. Leicester, yeah, obviously I know they had a decent season, but they've just lost the manager, and are the players is Vardy going to be able to do it in this league? They've got some good players in that squad, but I still think they'll struggle. Southampton haven't made loads of signings, and I know they've maybe, George is absolutely right, they snuck in, but I feel like the kind of team that might stay out this season is one that maybe manages to string 2 or 3 results together early on and just gets a little bit of, points on the board. And it's happened in previous seasons. I remember when, I remember Hull with Amir Zaki. Was it Hull or was it Wigan?
Yeah.
And then he was scored 4
Wigan.
goals. 4 goals in the first 6 games. And all of a sudden, you've got yourself 9 points, and it's a massive help. So yeah, it was a tricky one to think about any 3 outside of the promoted 3, but yeah, I think George's rationale around Forest is the same as mine, really.
Yeah, Martin says Forest, Leicester, Southampton. Sam says Forest, Southampton, Ipswich. And Gareth, talking tactics extraordinaire, says Ipswich, Forest, Southampton. Kev says Ipswich, Bournemouth, and Leicester. Obviously, Bournemouth losing Solanke. Willie says Leicester, Forest, and Southampton. PJJ says Forest, the Saints, and Leicester. So very common across the board. Stephen said Brentford if they lose Tony, and Nick, who obviously does our fantastic intro, says the Dingles are going to be in trouble, and he and I were on the same wavelength because I actually put Southampton, Ipswich, and Wolves
Yeah,
to go down.
Gary O'Neill seems to get a tune out of him, doesn't he? Though
he's a good manager, mate.
He is a good manager, but who have they? They've just sold Neto. Who
Did
they've
He
have
got?
injured a lot though last season, anyway,
Who
wasn't he?
have they got up front? Cunha.
Chang, is it Chang?
Huang.
Yeah. Lost Kilman to West Ham. He's a big part of their team. I think they're going to be in trouble,
I said last season now that Wolves was strong. They put them to go down, and
they did. They don't concede many goals to give them their dues. They don't score many.
Good at home though as well, aren't they? That's normally enough to keep the team up.
Dale says big loss, Pedro Neto and Kilman.
If we had their defence, we'd be all right, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we would. We would. So, right to the other end of the table. Rich, no problem, mate. Don't worry about being late. It's good to have you on board. Make sure you smash the like button. I'm sure you will. PSR points deduction for Leicester says Steve's 24/7, so that could be a big, obviously
Is
a
that
big
confirmed?
factor. I don't know, but and also Everton, they're saying that they're under threat of another points deduction at the start of the season. But
You
They might
never
as
know.
well just relegate Everton and be done with it, hadn't they?
I
Because
know,
they're not going to leave them alone.
I know, it's
You
just
never know.
crazy.
Man City might get done. Maybe it's going to be Everton, Leicester, and Man City. Maybe that'll be the three.
Yeah, I doubt it,
Oh,
mate. Man
you know what?
United getting out of it as well.
I'd absolutely love it, right? If Man City
Saw that.
got like a 30-point deduction or something ridiculous, and then the morale was on the floor, and De Bruyne is crying as Forest beat him 6-0. Oh, I just love it. Like,
Probably
you know,
still
just
win
the
the league.
Probably
morale.
still win the league, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be the ultimate challenge for him, wouldn't it? Can you ever turn a 40-point deficit? Yeah. No.
Yeah.
They'll keep dragging on, won't it? So Man City will be safe for one season at least.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go with league winners then. League winners. Is it basically a procession between Man City and Arsenal, Kev?
Man City for me. I can't see anything on anybody else. I think Arsenal did well last year. They've made some all right signings, but Man City, aren't they? And they always do it. So, and I don't think that'll change.
George?
Yeah, listen, Kev's right. City probably will win it. I mean, what are they now? Is it 4 in a row now they're on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 in a row, isn't it? Just for the fact they're on 4 in a row, I'm hoping that Arsenal can break it. I think Arsenal have gone very close the last couple of years, you know, and they've got a great continuity again with their side. They kind of had the beating of Man City last season. I think they got 4 points off them. City often start a bit slow, and I just think if Arsenal can get off to a start and good start and just keep their foot on the pedal, and they've seen the experience now of letting it slip a couple of times, I think maybe they've got a chance. And I'd actually hope they do go and win it, because it's getting the Man City procession's getting pretty boring, isn't it?
It is. Kevin says Arsenal to win the league. Unfortunately, PJJ says us. So he's very confident. Lewis says Villa will win the league.
Come on, Lewis.
We've got 2 in there. We've got 2 in there. Gary said City. Arsenal need a striker as usual. Deontay says Man City do a 5p. I've actually gone for Arsenal as well.
I think Havertz could be there. He turned it on the back end of last season. I think he's all right. He's enough for them.
Yeah. Sam's gone for Arsenal as well. Gareth gone for Man City. Martin's gone for Arsenal. So yeah, it looks like it's between them. Nobody else has picked any other team. But that takes me on to the top 4, George. First of all, yeah, are Villa going to be in it? I don't know if you've got Villa in it, so give us your top 4.
No, I said I didn't put us in it. I've gone Arsenal, City, Liverpool, and I've gone for Newcastle to get back in there, just on the way they finished last season, really. I know that's probably surprised a few people, but they finished really strong last year. And I think if season had gone on another month, they would have probably been right up there again. You know, and they got loads of injuries, didn't they? And I think if they don't get that level of injuries, they should be a good threat again this year.
Yeah. So Arsenal, City, Liverpool, Newcastle. I know Martin wanted me to mention he's got a little bit of a surprise one as well. I believe he's got, where is he? He's got Arsenal, City, Villa. So he's got Villa in 3rd, and he's got West Ham in there as the top 4. West Ham, obviously, we've got them on Saturday, Kev. Is that a bit of a surprise for you? They seem like they've had a good window. They've got a good manager in. Do you think it's a bit too much for them to get in that top 4? What are you saying?
Yeah, I do think it's a bit too much for them, really. I mean, they didn't have the best of seasons last season. It wasn't horrendous, but wasn't as brilliant. We went 7th, 4th. Obviously, can they do whatever it was they finished 4th? When you've got teams like Spurs, Newcastle, Villa, Chelsea, I think it'd be a real stretch for them. They've got some good players, but I can't see it happening. I think George's logic, by the way, on Newcastle finishing the season strong, is a pretty good shape. But I think that if I was to go all the way with that, I'd have Palace and Bournemouth in the top 4.
Yeah, Palace.
They were unbelievable, weren't they? Like, post Christmas, but I know, they've lost a few players, whatever. But can these teams carry that form into the new season?
The thing, yeah, no one knows, do they?
So what?
That's the
What
reason.
do
The
you
reason
think?
I've put
What
Villa
was
to
your
drop off
top
a
four
bit.
then, Kev?
Oh,
My
sorry.
top four.
Sorry, George.
I had West Ham first. Yeah. See, I was tricking you all. I had
Everton second.
Everton second. Yeah. Well, no. Apparently, the Everton fans are going mental about Thierry Irobenham. They think they've had our pants day, don't they? So
I've
Yeah.
heard that.
yeah, because he made a couple of passes in a match. So a good luck to him. And good luck to him. Good, not being bitter. Man City, they always win it. So and five's a pretty nice number. It's better than 4, isn't it? If you're going to do 4, you might as well do 5. It's 5 Olympic rings rather than 4. You know how it works. Arsenal will be second. I think Aston Villa will be third. And I think Liverpool will be fourth.
Nice. We're going
I'm
to
up.
overtake Liverpool. Fantastic. Chippy Bailey says Liverpool, City, Villa, and Arsenal in fourth. Is that in that order? Interesting.
He's gone fourth to first, surely.
Yeah. PJJ says City, Liverpool, the Arsenal, and then us. Gary says the top 4 is open again. Willie says City, Arsenal, Liverpool, and Villa. So quite a few people got Villa in there. Deontay says Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, and Manchester United. I think I did go for Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, and I've gone for Manchester United.
Why have you gone for Man United?
I just think they're going to sign some
wrong?
big players this season.
Sorted their defence, haven't they? That's what
Yeah.
they need to do.
Man United is shit.
George doesn't agree that, do you?
Struggle to get in the top 8, Man United.
Well, last year I had them down second, didn't I? So I completely embarrassed myself with the season they had last year. But yeah, they obviously finished the season, won the cup. They've just signed De Ligt today, I think, who's played under Ten Hag. They can get the best out of him and the other centre-back that's now injured for a few months.
I think Højlund will be better this season.
Yeah. It's Man United. They're never in the doldrums for too long, aren't they? But yeah, I think they've got to be better than last year, surely.
Still got Casemiro and Rashford and all those lots. So.
We never know with Rashford. He could turn up and bang 30 again, couldn't he? Yeah. You don't know. Or he could get 5.
Nah.
He's a weird player.
Nah, Man United are nowhere, mate. Nowhere.
Nick says West Ham 4th, trying to emulate the Villa from last season. Rich says our top 4 qualification is key to maintaining the spending for the level of players we're currently looking at. We need to challenge in the Premier Cups and in the Champions League. I 100% agree. So Villa's finish, obviously, Kev, you've got us going finishing 3rd. Adam says Villa 5th or 6th. It'll be a tougher year. Rich says Villa in 4th, so we will get in the Champions League. Willie says I want us to get in the top 3, but we need a couple of players first. I think Sam had us in 5th at the current state, but if we sign more players, I think he had us finishing higher than that. Jam Jack's got Villa, Liverpool, City, Arsenal. It's got to be in the reverse order.
No, definitely not.
And
I've given my prediction based on the fact I think there will be more business. I do. If we're going into the season as it is now, I wouldn't have said 3rd. I think that we'll bring in some players. They'll be centre back cover. There'll be a forward option. I think and then you're adding Watkins to that, etc. You got Ramsey and Buendia returning. All the other signings. Yeah, you got Emery. So yeah, but if we don't, then I might reverse that. I reserve the right to change that when you challenge me on it. When we're 17th and Steve Bruce comes in as an interim manager.
Yeah,
well,
good.
Well,
Look,
I love
the confidence.
It's a good job.
Loads of people saying Ten Hag will be gone by Christmas, so we will see. So George, where have you got Villa finishing the season?
I've put us down 7th, and I can hear all the boos coming from everyone listening there.
Gary's agreeing with you, mate.
Oh,
Gary's
there you go. There is someone. Yeah, I just think I'm just a little bit alarmed about after Christmas last year. It was as if we run out of steam, and it's like everyone found out they've worked out that high line, didn't they? And we struggled a bit. Like, I think if you put our second half of the season, I think we were about 10th, and I just thought that drop off was a bit alarming. But hopefully I'm completely wrong, but even if it was 7th, it's not really that bad. It's just that it's a congested. There's a lot of quality up there, isn't there? We done well last year to hold off Spurs. You think there was Chelsea below us, United below us, Newcastle, West Ham below us. They're all good sides, and it's going to be it's going to be tough.
Cut his feed. Oh, I'm on live, aren't I? Here?
I can hear you, Kev. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah, let's wait and see. It's going to be an exciting Premier League, and I hope we can do it again. But how much are we going to go for the Champions League as well? Because we might only get one shot at this. So have we got enough to go on all these fronts?
That's it. That's the tricky thing.
You needed the Eminem music then, didn't you? When George started saying that, you only get one shot of this. Just comes in a montage of like Villa players like celebrating and stuff. That would have been good. Clip that. Good.
Yeah, where's Mark when you need him? He can do that.
Yeah, he can do that. Now, I think all jokes aside, I think you make some very, very valid points. And Sam's here. I think the reality is Champions League will be a hell of a stretch for us. And a lot of other good teams around that have done some all right business. So it will be harder, but we've got the magic man. We've got Unai, and that's just what gives me confidence.
Look, I like it, Kev. Nick says Villa 6th this season, but a domestic cup final. I would take that right now. And Richard says 7th for him as well. So George, you're getting a bit of agreement there. I said, Sam, that you mentioned 5th at the moment with the signings as they are, but does that mean that if we make a couple of significant signings, that could be changed in a more positive light?
Hello.
Hello, mate.
Yeah, I've only been in for a minute. I'm already getting pelters. Someone called me depressing. I haven't even said anything yet, which is great. Yeah, I mean, that's...
Is your dinner turned up yet, mate?
But you know what, boys? Let's talk about this. So I ordered my dinner at 7:45, didn't turn up till 9:15. What has the country come to? Everything that's going on right now, this is the thing I'm most upset about.
Keir Starmer's getting it from all angles at the moment, but this is the straw that's broken the camel's back. Sam's takeaway coming at this late.
So the problem is you can't even complain on the app. You have to go through. Anyway, let's talk about football. Yeah, I mean it kind of stands to reason, doesn't it, Rich? We get some better players. We've got a better chance of finishing higher. I don't think it was
it's not inventing the wheel, mate. Yeah, it's not rocket science.
But yeah, I think for us it's just options. I think there are a couple of key dependencies in our squad. I think Ollie Watkins maybe being one of them. I think Ezri Konsa being another one. I just feel like a few more options could help us out and help us keep pushing on all fronts. I think one thing we've learned from Unai since he's been in is he doesn't really take any games off. He doesn't play the kids in any game, be it the third round, the FA Cup, whatever. I expect us to go full strength for every for every game. So yeah, I think 5th right now. I think it would be reasonable. It would be building on last year, but it's all relative as well, Rich, because we would have taken at the start of the season last year, we would have taken 6th, 7th, whatever, just to repeat the year before. But then come December, when we're top of the league, the expectations shift, don't they? So yeah, I think it's yeah. Anyway, that's what
I agree, mate. No, it's just it's absolutely fair, and our expectations, I'm sure, will change for the positive or negative with where we are at Christmas. They'll probably change game by game, to be honest with you, with us on here. So we will see. Mark, who does our thumbnails, says Villa 5th, so a good solid finish in the league. And I've gone for 6th. I think 6th and a good cup run, as I think Nick had said before. I think that would be reasonable for me. I do think it might take us, and it might take other teams, as I've said before, a little bit of time to settle into the season. But I do feel like balancing up that Champions League with the Premier League might be a little bit more difficult than we think. And I don't know if he's obviously going to have to go strong in the Champions League. And I don't know how well we'll react to going really, really strong and big, massive game on a Tuesday or Wednesday and then having to repeat that with probably the same players. So I'm not sure if he's quite got a next team or replacement players that are strong enough to win the next Premier League game after the Champions League game, particularly, as you said, Sam, with the likes of the reliance on Watkins or Emi Martinez or Ezri Konsa. That's the tricky one for me.
I do think though, the gaps in between games will be a little bit better. So if you play on a Wednesday,
yeah,
and you play again on a Saturday or Sunday, it's better than playing on Thursday and Sunday and then back again early the next week. But yeah, it's an interesting one. We have to see. I don't know how much you boys talked about it already, but about who might come in. But it's,
say that again. Oh, who?
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't talked about too much about transfers yet. We've done our relegation predictions. We've done our top 4 predictions. So we're going on to the individual players ones shortly. Just going to shout out Ken for the £2 super chat. Thank you very much, mate. And if anyone else wants to support the channel with a super chat or to become a member, please do click the link at the top of the chat or click the $sign, and do make sure you smash the like button and hit the subscribe button as well. Help us on the road to 5k. We've gone well past 4,500 subscribers, which is just amazing stuff. But we don't want to stop there. So please like, subscribe, and keep your comments flowing, and join our Villa Park podcast FPL League. As I said before, league code WJ38KU. So let's get on to the individual ones. Let's go flop of the season. The one we don't like doing. George, you can start us off with who do you think is not going to perform as we want them to this season?
It's never really nice doing this one, is it? Because
No.
you're just picking on one of your players, aren't you, for no reason? But I've gone for Onana.
What's his name?
I just think it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money we paid for him. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, we paid a hell of a lot of money for him, and let's face it, his track record so far has not been that convincing in an Everton shirt. I mean, he wasn't even getting a game for them at parts last season. It didn't look amazing for Belgium either in the Euros. I know, obviously, we paid the big money basically because of the potential, the age, isn't it? It's the physical profile of him. He could smash it, mate, and I hope he does now, playing with better players. But just on the fact that I've not seen it from him yet, I'm gonna go with Onana, because he's gonna have to play well to justify 50 mil, isn't he?
Gone big and controversial straight away. Just want to shout out Michelle. Thank you so much for your $4.99 super chat.
Michelle.
Absolute legend you are, Michelle. Always watching our vids, always supporting us. So thank you so much. Kev, who's your flop of the season? I hate saying that, but we got to do it.
Oh, I had a real battle on this one. I said if I say Bailey, I'm going to get pelters, and I can't because I love him now. I really struggle with this. I went for Alex Moreno. I think if he sticks around, if we can't shift him, I don't see him getting much of a look in, and I think his form dropped off a lot last season. So, yeah, I don't think he's the player that he was in that first 6 months when he joined us in that January. So, he's my choice, but I didn't really have too many options I felt that confident about. So, yeah, I've gone for Moreno.
What's it going to take to get Moreno back? He was so good when he came. Does he just need a pre-season or what? Because the Moreno that came, mate, he's probably still the best one that we've got.
Yeah, he was fantastic. We were all saying at the time, Digne, no worries, all the best, thanks for your time. Last season, Digne, we'd say we want Digne to be the one that stays out of the two. And that's totally flipped, I think, for a hell of a lot of Villa fans. It really has.
Yeah. God.
I think Gary.
He's back on form, is Gary. Illing Jr. will perform like Illing Pensioner. I absolutely love that. That is fantastic. Fantastic. Stephen says Olsen.
Why is he still there? Why have they not sorted that out?
Yeah, I know. Adam does agree with you as well, George. He says controversial, but he thinks Onana as well. So there you go. You've got a few agreeing. You've got a couple of people agreeing with you as well. Nick says, I think Pau might struggle at times this season. Sam, I have a feeling that he might well be on the same wavelength as you.
Yeah, so I went for Pau, and I think I'm going to call you out a little bit, Kev. I think you've slightly chickened out of the question a little bit, because I think for someone to be a flop, there needs to be a level of expectation on them. And I think no one's expecting anything from Alex Moreno. So I think that you've kind of chickened out there to not ruin your public persona and image. So yeah, I think so that was worth calling you out.
Just because you're pissed off about your takeaway, don't take out on me.
you and Gaz in the chat. No one's answering the questions properly. Yeah. No, I was torn between Onana and Pau Torres. If I'm being honest, I think it's a good shout from George. And I think the only problem, the struggle that Onana's got is he's got came with this massive price tag. So the expectation on him is a £50 million centre mid. I'm pretty sure that's the most we've ever spent on the centre mid as well. That's brings a lot of pressure with him to hit the ground running. And I think from what I've seen in pre-season, he looks fine, but he doesn't really look like a £50 million, whatever that means anymore. It doesn't mean what it used to mean, but still, 50 million quid for a midfielder, you kind of expect them to like wow, and he doesn't. Considering that was more than we sold Dougie for. But I chose Pau Torres because I think he's going to struggle a little bit, especially in the Champions League against that sort of high press. He's a brilliant ball player, like one of the best ball playing centre backs in the league. But I think defensively he's a little bit weak, and I think he's a little bit weak on the ball, a little bit slow sometimes. I think he might get caught out against those Champions League teams. So I hope it's no one. But if I had to pick, I'd probably go with Pau Torres.
Yeah. Stephen said he thought you were going to say Watkins.
I was going to just for a joke. And what was really funny, someone else put in a comment earlier, they said Watkins was my delivery driver. He did it on purpose. Because all the smack I've been talking. So.
Sam, some would say you're chicken out. I'm not saying Watkins, but
No, I don't know about. I really hope he has a similar season to last year, and I think he's just so high on himself at the moment. I just imagine he's just going to come with all this sort of energy and confidence, and that's what Ollie Watkins needs. I think sometimes he was a bit of a downer on himself, and you could tell in his play that he lacked confidence. Really didn't think he was going to do X, Y, and Z, but he had a brilliant season last season. And then that goal against the Netherlands, I mean, you could live off that. Yeah, honestly, for me, it's one of the best England moments I think I've ever seen. Like,
it was unreal.
So he can ride off that the whole season and take confidence knowing that he's done that. So no, not Ollie Watkins, but I think he will score less goals than he did last year.
We'll come to that. Seth Stein says, don't rate Barkley, not before we signed him, nor when we signed him. Philly Fly says, I think Pau too. And who else? Adam says he still doesn't think Pau is a great defender. Gary says Barkley hasn't been great either. Kevin does say he thinks Onana will be very good as it happens. And Rich says Maatsen is the future, 100%. So look, there's a few. I think it'll be Illing Jr. Don't think it'll be, but again, I don't know how much expectation of him. And I don't think Buendia is going to have the comeback that we think he is going to have. I don't think Emi Buendia is going to be as good as we hope him to be. And that isn't because I don't
know. You it as well, Rich. You bought it so bad. Buendia, who's been out for 14 months, and Illing Jr., a 20-year-old, who's probably going to get no game time. What is happening here, boys? Why don't we just...
There's me picking on £50 million signings, and you
do you know what I mean? Yeah, George has gone like in. He's put his whole chest into that.
I think Onana will be great. I think he's exactly what we need. I think he's going to be really good.
So what about McGinn then? What about McGinn? Do you think he will? Because he's looked a little bit. I said this to someone yesterday. McGinn's either like world class, or he can't make a 5-yard pass. And
well, that was the thing. There was a couple of things yesterday that he did really well, and then there was another thing in the second half where exactly what you said, Sam. He couldn't pass the ball 5 yards. Like it was all he had was a simple pass to play someone in down the left-hand side, and he completely messed the pass up. I find it tough with McGinn because I feel like he will find a way to battle his way and fight his way to become like a good player every season. Like we kind of say, he's not going to have such a good season this year, and he finds a way to come through, and I still think that will happen. Kev,
he's got more competition than anyone else than ever before, though. Like,
I do. To be fair, Rich, McGinn has always performed for us, and when he's had his doubters in the past, he's always come through. I think from Championship to Premier League, I think he's been, absolutely fantastic for us, particularly under Emery. And I think we dropped off a little bit back end of last season, like a lot of players did. A lot of the players dropped off. I mean, Mings and Buendia were terrible last season, no jokes aside. But, everybody post-Christmas. Watkins didn't score for the last 6 games. I think the defence was suspect. I think John McGinn, when he's fully fit, is still in Aston Villa's best 11. And I think he's been consistently got that fight, that attitude. We've seen the quality from him as well. So I'm still backing John McGinn for Aston Villa.
Yeah.
I thought he had a good season last year. To be honest,
It was good.
Yep.
It was good.
Yeah. Setterstein was actually at the game yesterday as well, so thanks for tuning in as well, mate. With Costa and Martin seemingly going to start Saturday, we desperately need some solidity at centre back with a late signing. Well, it does look like we are looking to strengthen in that area. We might have some time to talk signings towards the end of the show. So off the negatives, onto more of the positives. Who is going to be the breakthrough star, the dark horse for the season? So George, who did you have for your breakthrough star for Villa this season?
I'm gonna have a Chris Kamara moment here because I can't remember who I picked.
Well, breakthrough dark horse. You had Tyrone Mings.
Sorry, so I did. Yeah, I know. Again, that's
No more, Jeff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably going to be Mings, but we don't know how he's going to come back or the level he's going to come to when he comes back. But if he comes back, anywhere close to what he was before the injury, Unai's going to find the place for him. I'm telling you now. I don't know where, but we really missed that aerial physicality at the back, and we missed it last season. Fourth or not fourth, we conceded a shitload of goals, and a fully fit Mings gets in that team somewhere, and he'll make a difference. Whether it's rest Powell for the champ, rotation, changing Powell for Mings here and there to try and keep everyone at full fitness. But if he comes back the same player, he's going to play a big part, and I think everyone's kind of forgotten about him, to be honest.
Yeah, no, good answer. Lots of people going for Nedeljkovic. Is getting a few from PJJ and Gary. Rogers getting a couple as well from Kevin and Adam. Kev, who did you say for your breakout or breakthrough star for the season?
Enzo Berenchea, I've gone for. I think he's looked very good in what I've seen pre-season. I think he's someone that probably people don't expect with Onana, with Kamara to come back, all those other players to probably play the part that I think he actually will play a really good part. I think he looks like he's good on the ball. I think he's a decent height. I think he gets back the pitch well. He's got good quality. I think he'll be someone that'll surprise quite a few people in the Premier League this season and be a real star for us.
Good, yeah. And Nick says the same. Breakout star Enzo for me. Setterstein saying Morgan will continue to rise. Man with the golden gun says Jacob Ramsey's going to shine. Mark my words. Dristos says Ramsey. Stephen Van Leer says Ramsey as well. So fair few people talk about him. Lewis says Felix. Chris says Philogene. Deontay says Jacob Ramsey or Ian Matson, and Rich Edwards agreeing with you, Kev. Enzo for him too. Sam, who are you saying for the breakout star of the season or breakthrough star, dark horse, whatever you want to call it?
I went with Philogene. I've always been sort of really impressed with him. So that pre-season before he went to Hull that season, last season, and just sort of picked up where he left off this year. Just every single time he gets the ball, it looks exciting. He's sort of a cool finisher of the ball. I think he might not have the other qualities, but I think he's actually a better finisher than we saw from Diaby last year. So I think if he's given a chance, I think he could play a really big role in the season. So I'm Philogene.
Yeah, I think I like his finishing. It seems quite a cool, calm, cold finisher, isn't he? Just no messing. Like the goal against Bilbao, just opened his body up, struck it nice, just bottom corner, just no messing about.
It just all feels very deliberate from him. I never really see a goal from him where it just looks like he's just kind of put his head down and hit it. He always seems to place it somewhere, and I think he could be really, really important this season. Good player, really good player.
Yeah, I've gone for Costa Nedeljkovic. I think he's really impressed across the pre-season games. I think he's actually impressed Unai Emery more so than I guess he thought. Looking at that speed he's got, looking at the physicality that he's got as well for 18 years old, I think he's going to play a bigger part than he maybe anticipated, which is really good to see. Setterstein asked a question: do we reckon Bogard will get some starts?
I don't think so. No, in Emery. Maybe Carabao Cup, unless we've got
he's
injuries.
Going to be what's he going to be? Our fifth choice? So he's basically going to be Callum Chambers, right?
Yeah.
So he should get a few games here and there, like in the cup and that. If he stays around, there's a chance he could still get loaned out again, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd like to see the youngsters coming through.
He seems good, to be fair, but he just he just worries me a little bit because he seems quite short.
He's 6
Yeah.
foot.
Is he 6 foot?
According to the stats on him, yeah.
Yeah.
Every player's 6 foot on the stats. Unless they're 6'3", every
bloke,
player is 6 foot.
every bloke's 6 foot when he's chatting to someone at a bar.
Yeah.
I'm Jeffo, 6 foot, love me. No, he is apparently.
Yeah,
According
we'll
to
see.
Wikipedia.
Yeah. He's done well in pre-season, but like you said, Sam, Philogene did brilliantly last pre-season and went out to Hull. So
he sort of sustained it, didn't he, at a good level in the Championship?
Yeah.
He did well. Hull had a really good go of it last season. I think he was a big part of that. Plus, he scored a Puskas contender with that Rabona. So yeah, man, I hope it works out for him. I think we always talk about like getting the kids involved and sort of promoting up from the youth. So I hope he does well. I hope he does get a chance.
Yeah. So on to the players of the season. So first of all, on to the young player of the season. So let's go 24 and under, obviously, 24, 23 and under. I went for Morgan Rogers. I think he's going to have a big season for Aston Villa. I think he's going to be a big part of the goals that we need to add. He obviously got 3 in a row at one point last season and probably would have gone on to get more had he not got injured. So I do predict him to get somewhere near double figures. Kev, who is going to be your young player of the season for the 24-25 season?
Ian Matson. That's it for me.
Interesting.
I think he is absolute quality. I think he's such a good player. Everything I've seen of him. I know he's had a bit of a bitty pre-season for us, but I just think for how well he did last season to be named in the Champions League team of the season and to be left back for a team that got to the final. So I think he's really good on the board. He's full of energy. I think he's going to be a real star for us as well. So I think we've got a couple of players that admittedly haven't shown it in pre-season. Like we mentioned, Enzo, obviously a bit of heating on Arnold. I think a lot of these players are going to perform at a really high level for us. And, to come into a team which has obviously got Digne, Moreno, England Junior can play there as well. I think he'll nail that spot for himself. So that's my shout.
Good shout. Richard said Rogers, 100%. PJJ says Philogene or Rogers. Setterstein says totally agree on Morgan Rich. Michelle said this is really hard. There's so much young talent, but Rogers. Gary said the Rogers and Ramsey combo. Adam says I hope we start Matson right away. He's experienced enough now to be starting over Dean already. And Rich said Rogers, Bailey, Watkins is fire. PJJ says Enzo is good. And Man with the Golden Gun said Costa Nedeljkovic for me. The lad is class. Sam, who are you saying for your young player of the season?
Yeah, I went with Morgan Rogers as well. I guess everyone else has picked him as well, so there's probably not much to say about it. But yeah, he had a brilliant half season last year. He looks like he's gone from strength to strength, and I think he could be an absolute worldie. But he's just got to manage him well, and yeah, I think he's going to be better than Ramsey this season. I think he'll get more opportunity as well.
Yeah, good. Yeah, he's one who's come through. Some of the little touches he's having, if they can get his positioning right in terms of whether he's going to play off of Watkins or whether he's going to drift out a little bit wide or whether he's going to play up front at some points as well. I really think there's going to be some responsibility put on him this season. So that'll be interesting to see how he responds to it. George, who have you gone for?
Yeah, I went Rogers as well. I think it's pretty much a no-brainer, to be honest. Like everyone's saying about this Rogers-Ramsey combo, I mean, for me, they're fighting for one place. So it's going to be Rogers or Ramsey for me. But the way Rogers come in, made the shirt his own straight away, showed no signs of like being overawed or the pressure's too much. He's just come in and up the level straight away. The only danger is that he might think he's made it now and take his foot off the gas a little bit. But hopefully, I won't allow that. And he should go on and have a great season. He's got an eye for goals, making goals, scoring goals. He's a big boy as well, puts himself about. I think we've actually got an absolute, this is going to be a top player in years to come. I think it looks like a great signing for us. Yeah, so I think, Rogers will piss it this season.
I like it. Well, I think the big thing is seeing how many younger players we've got, and you see the profile of the squad already has changed quite considerably. And it's now you're looking at these younger players and thinking, well, there's a fair few contenders. You know, you've got Philogene, you've got Matson, as Kev said, you've got Nedeljkovic, you've got Rogers, Ramsey still is young. Lots of these players in that first team squad that could well be big players this season, Kev.
Yeah, obviously Berenchea, Junior might play their parts as well. So yeah, yeah, it's exciting times for Aston Villa. I think, the point George makes about will those two play together. This is the thing. I think in some systems they absolutely could, and I think a fully fit Ramsey and a fully firing Rodgers. I mean, imagine those two alongside Watkins, or Bailey and one of those two Watkins. I just think it's a real quality. Ramsey's going to have a point to prove this season. I was close to picking him as my breakthrough, but obviously he's broken through before. So, but I think we've got some really
stay fit, Kevin Ramsey.
Yeah, he has, and I think that's why they probably kept.
Yeah.
But he didn't come back too soon, did he? Even in pre-season, he didn't play in the early pre-season games. I think they've been really meticulous and careful with him. Well, I hope so anyway. Because we're also, I wonder why I didn't see him at the best Scott in the first game. If we can keep these players fit, and then the likes of, obviously, Mings comes back into it, hopefully. Kamara, you've got Onana now with a bit of steel. Getting whether it's a Geertruida or a Chalobah or someone with a bit of, bit of oomph in that defence. I really think we could have a special season.
It's that bench, isn't it? If we can get that strong subs bench that we should have had last season, but we were robbed of because of all the bloody injuries. You get 6-7 top players on the bench, then you're looking at doing something special again. But last year we were really robbed of that, and most times we were looking at the bench, and there was probably only 2 viable options that back end of the season anyway. That were going to come on and do anything for us, and it almost did cost us, but we did get over the line eventually and did make the Champions League. And
that's when you can also compete Europe. Domestic, when you've got players that, if you bring in a Ramsey for one game and a Rodgers for the next one, or a Buendia maybe, is it going to be Philogene 1 week, rest Bailey, and then bring Bailey in the next game, etc., etc., etc. This is when you can start to see Aston Villa looking like the real deal and competing in these competitions. Last season, particularly post-Christmas, we were absolutely running on fumes. It was so hard. When, we loved Callum Chambers making the contribution that he did for the assist for Duran in the Liverpool game, but we were struggling a bit, weren't we, with options?
Yeah, proper.
Yeah, we were. Good question from Kay. How many of the younger players will get England call-ups? Obviously, the ones that are eligible will get England call-ups in the next 12 months. Do you see a Morgan Rodgers? Do you see Jacob Ramsey? One or two others getting called up into that England squad?
Well, now Southgate's not there.
Rodgers has got a chance, hasn't he? Definitely.
Yep. Yeah. Perform well for the club. If Aston Villa are flying high and these players are playing their part under new England manager, whether it's going to be Carsley or someone else, long term, they've got a chance. You're playing for a team in the top 4 of the Premier League, pushing top 4 Premier League, and you're performing week in, week out. Then why would you not get a call up?
Yeah, agreed, absolutely. A fair few of them are England under 21 players as well. Carsley been a massive, obviously been the England under 21 manager. Why would he not be taking a look at some of these players that could come through? He knows them. He knows they've got a bit of quality. We've got Republic of Ireland in one of the games. Why not give some of the younger players a chance? Rather than looking at some of the tried and trusted that have been in the Euros, give them a bit more time. Who knows? Sharek's in the chat. He's not too confident. He has put those pre-season friendlies, had the same issues we had second half of last season. Barely any chances created. Constant mistakes at the back when pressured. 80 minutes of sideways passing. And he says West Ham are going to batter us. So
see you later, lads.
Ever the optimist is Sharek, but
it's a tough opening game now.
Keep the faith, mate. And I do appreciate your opinions. I do appreciate your opinions.
I think there's a balance though. He's not wrong. I think we didn't look great in pre-season, and it was more of the same. It was a lot of passing it around the back and not really doing much in that final third, that penetration, which is why I said on the last pod, we need a creative player who can help us break down low blocks and just sort of get things started, because our build-up is slow, which is fine because that's what Emery normally does, but you always need a plan B. If something isn't working, then you need to be able to say, right, lads, this isn't working, we'll move on to something else. And it was a bit more of the same. that's as far as I'll go in saying I agree with Sharik. I don't think we'll get battered by West Ham, and I don't think we're necessarily going to have a poor season. But I really do feel like it could go either way. We could either do what we did at the start of last season, or we can sort of pick up where we left off at the end of the season. So that's why I said earlier, it all really depends on the signings. I think the signings are going to be really key because I do expect us to bring in a creative player. And I know this is harsh because he's been injured for 13, 14 months and he's just come back. But I feel like we should just sell Buendia. Like everyone talks about the Buendia comeback. Like you can't have a comeback if you never really did anything in the first place. I've got a lot of time for Buendia, but is it not worth just moving him on whilst he's got a bit of value and bring someone else in? Because in reality, is Buendia a Champions League level cam, which is where we're at.
I think with him, he's got a chance because Buendia's really been in Villa teams that don't dominate the ball. Now we get a fair bit of the ball now and we create a lot more than what we used to. We've got a better quality team. Buendia, that's when he's going to get a chance to open the doors. When you're getting like 40% possession, like we were under Dean Smith and in the Gerrard team, he couldn't really do much, could he? Because we weren't creating nothing. But I think McGinn and Buendia are going to be Diaby's replacement, I think, aren't they? So I reckon he'll get his fair few games. But again, how is he going to come back after the injury? That's the key to this.
Yeah, I mean, he showed the ability of him being able to pick that quick pass twice against Bilbao to release Archer. It's how many of those opportunities are you going to get? How much sharpness is he going to have to get into those positions? Because that's what we really need to see. But yeah, I do agree to a certain extent. I did say I don't know if he'll have that impact that we hope he will, but we'll see. Dickie does say, remember we were fourth best team last season. Where's the faith, mate? We've had loads of faith this podcast. Kev has got us in third position. Sam has got us in fifth currently. We've had people saying that Villa are going to win the league. Martin saying that we're going to finish in third. So there's loads of positivity, and the fact we're in the Champions League, mate, is absolutely amazing. So we can't ever forget that. But that does add an extra pressure. That adds an extra little bit of, I guess, trepidation for Villa fans going into that season, because it's so important to make sure that we do still finish well and compete well in the league. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. So before we get on to our player of the season, who we think the Villa player of the season is going to be, I've just checked. We've actually got nearly 300 people watching across X and YouTube, which is amazing. Well over 100 watching on YouTube, but we've only got 48 likes. So please, if you haven't already, smash the like button. Can we get up to 100 likes? That would be amazing on the live show. It really does help us spread the word. And subscribe to the channel if you're new. If you want to become a member as well, click the link or click the $ at the bottom for any super chats or to join the channel and become an official Villa Park Pod follower. So, Sam, I will come to you first. Who is going to be your Aston Villa player of the season?
I went with Leon Bailey. I just loved watching him last year. I feel like almost everything good that happened at Villa last year kind of went through him. Just exciting, brilliant, creative, like so much end product. You don't always get that from a winger. I just thought he was sensational last year, and the few little bit parts I've seen him play, he doesn't look like he's faded off or he's let it go to his head. I think he had a stint as captain for quite a few of these preseason games, so he's been given a bit more responsibility, and you can see that like that means something to him. I think Leon Bailey is going to be our star man. I voted for him for player of the season last season because I thought he was that good, and I really expect him to carry it on. So I'm here for Leon Bailey.
Fantastic. Nick says player of the season, Yuri Tielemans.
I nearly went for him.
I love that choice. I was about to go for him as well.
Great choice. Leon Bailey says Deontay. Lewis says Martinez. Adam says Watkins. Rich said, if we're honest, we all gave up on Bailey and look how he turned it around. Keep the faith. Man with the golden gun says Tielemans, player of the season. He has to step up to fill the Luiz void. George, who are you saying?
Yeah, I've gone for Martinez. I just think he's just quality, and I say it the same every time. Doesn't really let us down, and the fact we did concede a lot of goals last year, but that's just purely down to the amount of chances that we concede. I mean, he makes a hell of a lot of saves. Saves 2 certain goals pretty much every match. So I just think now he's on the biggest stage of the Champions League. And I think he's really going to knuckle down this year and want to show everyone that he is what we think he is, the best keeper in the world. So yeah, Emmy for me.
Class. Kevin says Rodgers, player of the season. Dickie said Morgan Rodgers all the way. Michelle says Leon, in fact, he's my favourite player. If it's not him, though, Yuri Tielemans. Chippy Bailey says Defo Leon, heart of a lion. James Wood says Martinez, the one man that needs to stay for a long time. Michael says Rodgers for player of the season. Gary says the winner is Rodgers for the double award, young player and player of the season. Richard says Mings, which would be an interesting one. Martin says Morgan Rodgers. So I think you had Nedeljkovic for the young player. So Morgan Rodgers for the player of the season. Kay says Ramsey, if he can stay fit. I think he will have a strong season waiting to make up for lost time. Kev, who are you going for?
Ollie Watkins. I think he's going to follow on from his 27 goals in all competitions. Pause, Villa fans. Think about what I've just said. We had a striker last season that scored 27 goals as we got to the semi-final of a European competition and qualified for the Champions League. He had a great Euros despite not playing too much, with obviously that, as Sam said, one of the best England moments ever. I mean, isn't it ironic that Villa haven't really had much of a look in the last 30 years for England, yet David Platt and Ollie Watkins have got two of the best, probably voted moments in the top 10 in terms of England fans' memories.
I'm thinking about getting that framed, Kev, in my cabin out here, that goal.
What, my quote? Oh, the goal. Sorry, me
yeah,
saying
the goal, mate. Right,
yeah. Watkins will win player of the season, Kev. I just can't see with his team, with us getting better and better players, that he's not going to get even more chances. His confidence is sky high. You've only got to see it in all his interviews last season. You've only got to see it in his England interviews over the summer. And I predict that Ollie Watkins is going to score 30-plus goals this coming season if he stays fit.
Great prediction. Bold prediction. I've gone for Ollie Watkins as well, Kevin. I've agreed with you. I think he's going to, come back with more confidence.
On the safe side, aren't you?
Score our goals. He is our main man. So, Ollie Watkins for me. But I was close to picking Yuri Tielemans as well. I think he's going to have a really good season. I really like the way he plays the game. I love the way he's 1 and 2 touch. I love the way he sees passes quickly. And that's what's going to get us moving forwards more quickly this season. Because
is he going to be playing a different position, Rich?
I think he's probably going to play in that central midfield partnership with Onana. That'll probably be, it looks like, his number one partnership. But I still think he's going to move the ball forwards quickly, and he's going to get on the ball and get on the half turn and get us moving. And that, to me, is going to be better than what Douglas Luiz did it. I always felt Douglas Luiz held onto the ball for way too long. He was good in certain time periods where we needed to hold possession and control a game, but there's so many times when he could have moved the ball quicker, and I felt like he was playing more for himself than he was for the team. Whereas I think with Tielemans, we might have to accept him maybe giving the ball away to make these progressive passes, but I think we're going to get way more out of it than the negative, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a strange one. I think I was having this conversation with Gareth earlier. I just messaged him to settle not an argument, but a debate between me and my brother, because he's a massive Dougie fan, and he's not very keen on Yuri Tielemans. He doesn't think much of him. And I think that apart from maybe the passing range, I think that Tielemans is actually a better player. I think he's better defensively. He got one more assist in half the number of games. He played 17 games last year. Dougie played 35, and Yuri had more assists, and he only scored 1 goal less if you take away penalties. So I'm not saying that Dougie was a bad player, but I think we all know that he had his moments. He was either off or on, normally linked to whether he was having a good time with his girlfriend or not. So I'm actually really, really happy that Yuri's kind of taken that spot. Not over Dougie. I'd love to have still had him in the squad, but I think that Yuri could be a really good replacement for him. But I have a question for you boys, actually, because I'm just reading the comments, and I'm people are sort of mentioning that I
chicken chow mein for me, Sam. I'll go chicken chow mein. Thanks, mate.
No worries, mate. I'll get you.
Was it takeaway question? Sorry.
Basically asking, suggesting that maybe I'd give up on players too easily. So when is the appropriate time to look at a player and say, look, he's probably past his best, and say this player is not of that quality? And I'm actually interested to hear Kev's view, because Kev's very optimistic. At what point do you say, look, this player doesn't look like he's going to do it, let's move on?
I think it's a complex question, mate, to be honest, because you've got to factor in things like, their age, what they've done previously, obviously, in the league. You've got to factor in also, I think, the team. A player not performing in a team. And look at Onana, right? Onana at Everton is going to have a very, very different time of it, I imagine, Onana and Villa, in terms of the way the team plays football, in terms of the possession, the style of play, all that kind of stuff. So that, I think you can get very, very different experiences. I think if someone's fit, and I think you can probably judge it, I think if you've had a season, half a season is probably a bit too short. If they've, but if they've had a season and not perform, they come back the next season, they're not performing. I think it's probably long enough, unless they're particularly young. I think it's difficult to give a general answer on this, mate. You might have to look at. I'm happy to look at sort of specific people. You think you want to get any sort of commentary on a specific, whether that's a Buendia or someone like that. But I think it's hard to give a sort of general answer because there's so many complex facets to it.
Yeah, it's a tough one, because it depends on that person who is. It depends on your opinion of that player, how you like the game to generally be played, and then the person who's commenting about your opinion on that player and what their opinion is of them. Because obviously that's always going into be a factor. So like if you're writing off, say, John McGinn, for example, and you think it might be a tough season for him, if the person challenging you, John McGinn's their favourite player, then obviously it's going to hurt them that little bit more. But obviously if they don't think McGinn is great, then they'll probably be more sympathetic to your opinion. I look at it, I kind of see it as traits of players and what I see in that player, and then how I like the game to be played, and that's generally how I look at it. And I always had that opinion of Douglas Luiz. Not that I didn't think he was a good player, but just in my opinion, he had those traits as a player, and like in terms of playing for himself a little bit too much, being a bit too selfish, being a bit too casual. And I don't see those points with Yuri Tielemans. I think he has a more active, proactive way of playing. Some people might like that way that Douglas Luiz plays. Emi Buendia, I'm similar. I find him a little bit of busy for the sake of being busy, but doesn't actually do anything. Doesn't actually do anything productive, or doesn't give enough productivity to what his actual activity does. Like, he runs around everywhere. He might make 1 or 2 good passes, but the amount of running around he does, he should be making 7, 8, 9, 10 good passes every game, in my opinion. And that's how I look at it, because it's how I would see that player playing the game that I would like them to play, and the traits that they bring.
It is difficult. It's hard to. It all depends what you want out of a player, isn't it? You get a player like Jacob Ramsey. Like, if you're looking at a player, you want him to be active in the game and play well and put a graft in. Someone like Ramsey will piss you off. But then at the same time, he'll disappear out of a game, but then all of a sudden he'll come up, assist, goal. Next game, do nothing, assist, goal. And you're like, well, hold on. He's annoying me because he's not active enough in the game, but he's productive. Same as Diaby last season. The amount of assists and goals he scored, but we were all slagging him off most of the year because he was annoying us because he was too weak. And at the same time, you get a fan's perspective. I think we're all a bit guilty of this. If we make a decision on someone early, we're kind of agenda-driven after that.
Yeah,
it's almost like we don't want them to fail, but if we've decided someone's shit,
it proves our
they're
point.
going to have to work double hard to change our minds. And if they do anything that lines up with our thinking, we're going to be straight on here to say how right we are. Whereas at the same, and we can't slower to give them credit when they do well. So, yeah, it's funny.
That's so true. And I think Jacob Ramsey is a really good example, because it's like, at what point do we take, for example, like the Chelsea fans and Reece James? If I was a Chelsea fan at this point, I'd be like, just get rid, because who can be asked with him being injured every 3 minutes? And you've got Jacob Ramsey. He's been in the fold for quite a while. Am I wrong in saying he's been in the fold since like the Championship?
Yeah,
Dean
Smith
put him on against
him on against
first Premier League season. It was.
Was it the first Premier League season? I thought.
Yeah, but Smith put him on against West Brom in the Championship.
Yeah, I thought he did.
We were losing 2-0.
Yeah, so he's been here for for a good 5 years now, whatever it is, and he's obviously got ability. He has the stuff to make him one of the best. But if you look at his injury record and you look at his impact on a season, not individual games, because individual games are brilliant. And by the way, I'm not writing him off. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I think Jacob Ramsey's brilliant. But at what point do you say, all right, Jacob Ramsey, we'll give you this season, see if you make an impact and can stay fully fit. But if not, next season, maybe we just cut our losses. And like what I was saying about Buendia, I wasn't saying, just can him off because he's rubbish. But there's an upgrade to be made there, right? There's a better creative player that you could bring in at the level that we're at now. Who knows? We might not get Champions League next season, so we might not have the same pool as we do this season. So is now a good time to cut our losses with Buendia and say, let's bring in someone of a higher quality. So I think it's a really good example, George. But I find it quite interesting how people are like, the idea is that you never ever, as long as they play for your club, you're never supposed to say, well, look, it's time to move on. Even in a commenting type of way. I just find it quite strange.
Yeah, and it's interesting because when the club decide or there's rumours that someone is going to move on, like a Diego Carlos, we kind of rationalise that as saying, oh, well, it's fine. He can leave. He wasn't that good anyway. It's funny. Like everyone goes down that route, but if you say someone should be going before that point, then it's like, oh, why aren't you supporting the players? But yeah, you got to give your opinion. That's what we're here to do.
But George is right. I've never given up on Cameron Archer, and I probably should have a while ago. So.
Yeah. There you go. See, there you go. Danny said we've got to sort out the defence, boys. We need to be rock solid, or it will hurt us this year. Too many easy goals we concede. I do absolutely agree with you. Kay said Dougie would lose the ball quite a lot in dodgy areas and lose his head and make rash decisions a lot too. Chippy Bailey said, I back Ollie to get 25 to 30 goals this season. Pure class. Loads of comments coming in. Agreeing a lot with what we've said there. Adamski's morning, lads, up the Villa, watching us from sunny Australia. Rich said the pre-season defensive high line was really poor and needs to be improved by next week. Sharik did ask a question. I will finish up with a couple of questions and then just finish up on a positive with our hopes for the season. Sharik said, how many points from the first 3 games? Kev, what are you thinking? Who is it? West Ham, Arsenal, Leicester?
4. 4,
yeah,
which is quite realistic for me, but I can see beating Leicester, losing to Arsenal, getting a draw at West Ham. Difficult place to go away, so I think you'd be happy with a point there. First game of the season. So, yeah, 4 points. Solid.
George?
3 to 4, yeah. That West Ham game could go... They could nick it or we could get a draw there. Yeah, I think we'd probably beat Leicester and the Arsenal game. Saying that, we've done the double over them last year, lads. So, we can't say it's an absolute given that Arsenal will beat us, but they finish higher, so you'll say you lose that one.
Yeah, Gary says 4. Michelle says 7. Lewis says 7. And Chris says, think we'll finish 7th this year, and he thinks 3 from the first 3 games. And Chippy Bailey says 7 as well. Sam, how many do you think we get? 0?
Shut up. I was going to say 5 actually. I reckon we draw against West Ham, draw against Arsenal, for it to look like quite a slow start to the season, and beat Leicester and sort of kick off from there. But the thing is, with West Ham, the way that they've bought this summer, and Arsenal, how they looked in pre-season, I think you might take 2 points from the first 2 games, actually. I think it would be a horrible result, but I'll go 5.
Yeah, I agree with you on 5. I think we can get a draw against Arsenal. I think sometimes first home game of the season, playing a top side early on in the season is always pretty good. So I think
you don't want to lose your first home game, do you?
Yeah, and I think we get a point at West Ham. I think we'll score, and they've got players to bed in, new manager and all that kind of stuff. If we can keep them quiet, obviously we're going to do a preview in the week, but if we keep them quiet early doors, I think we can get at least a point there. Kev says 5. Herelio says we'll beat Arsenal and lose to Leicester, doing a Villa.
Yeah, we'll beat West Ham and Arsenal and then lose to Leicester.
Stain says 6. Rich Burton says 9. He's very confident. Deontay 3 to 7 points from the first 3. And
So I'm just like 0 to 9.
yeah,
I thought-
5.
I
I
thought he
don't know
said
if that's 3 out of 7 points. I don't know.
I thought he said 317 points for the
Yeah.
first.
He's covered most of the bases there, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's covered them all. Chippy Bailey says -1 from you, Sam. To be fair.
Hey, I'm shedding this negativity.
Yeah, he's all about positivity now.
Give it a week, Sam.
he
Sam, give it a
likes playing
week.
the
Sam,
devil's
give it a week.
advocate.
Sam,
No,
we
the
lose
thing is-
4-0, and Archer stays on the bench. You'll be giving it out. Don't
This
you worry
is the
about
thing,
that.
though. Like Kevin's probably right. Like I will lose my head at some point. It might be early. It might be
You
later.
will. You will.
Boys,
100%.
We've got to be ourselves, haven't we?
I'm
Yeah,
here
this
for
is
it.
the
I'm
thing,
here
like,
for
I'm
it.
not. Yeah, you've got to understand that people like support the club differently and express their passion and support for the club in different ways. I just happen to be a lunatic. Who's very rarely happy with what's going on until it's finished. But yeah, no. Hopefully, everyone has some patience with me this year. I'm going to try. I'll try and be better.
Everyone loves you, Sam. Michelle
very
loves you. It's just
Thank you.
funny.
Thank you,
You
sir.
bring an extra bit of spice to the channel. Absolutely, you do, mate. George, so just to finish up, we've obviously got lots of positivity, also lots of excitement, lots of trepidation. What are your hopes and dreams for Villa this season?
Yeah, just try and kick on again and try and compete up there with the big boys again. You know, we've got no good given right to think we're just going to get Champions League again. But just compete, mate, and play as best as we can. The domestic cups, I don't expect us to have much of a go at them again this year because I think last year going on 2 fronts was too much eventually, and it could be the same this year. Champions League, mate. Let's just get one of them big boys at home and beat a. It sounds crazy, doesn't it? Let's beat a Real Madrid at home. Let's beat a Bayern Munich at home. Any
Come
bit
on,
of that.
George.
I just want a glorious Villa Park occasion because I think we all deserve that. You know, we've not been in a European Cup for 40 odd years. I want Villa to be back on the map for one night only, and just one of them glorious nights. And you want to see Watkins have another good season, try and eventually get them 20 goals that he can't get. I just want to enjoy the season, enjoy the Champions League, and hopefully it all goes to plan and we're up there again and singing at the end of the season.
Phenomenal, mate. Sam, what about you?
I just want to win the league and the Champions League, mate.
Easy.
That easy. No, I'm very much with what George said. Like, I really want to have a really good Champions League campaign. Like, imagine all the battling that we did last year to get there, only to sort of peter out and fizzle out and not live up to the occasion. Like, it would be criminal to not take the opportunity to do the best we can in that. But I think more importantly, I just hope we kick on. I just hope it's more of the same from last year. And I've had so many of my mates who don't support Villa saying that, oh, you're one season wonders and you won't do the same next year and blah 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 blah. And so yeah, I would just love to just kick on and just be pretty similar to what we were last year, even if we don't come fourth, if we finish 5th or 6th, but we've been a team, an exciting team that everyone's talking about, Aston Villa, back in mixing it with the big boys, disturbing the big 6. I think if we can continue that for one more year, I think it's less a blip and it's more a new sort of mentality for the club to just say, yeah, we're top 6, we're pushing Champions League every season, and change the narrative like Spurs did. Spurs did it 12 years ago. And they just became a Champions League club overnight, infiltrated the top 6. They changed the top 4 to the top 6, and now Spurs are that club. And it was just by continued success and consistency. So I just hope that we continue that and we build on last year.
Yeah, we've got, sorry to jump in again, but we've got 3 grounds, Rich, we need to win at. Unai's smashed all the hoodoos, hasn't he?
I was just about to say, yeah.
I was you. Sorry, go on, mate. I won't take your glory off you.
No, I was going to agree with you. You can say, but is one of them St James's Park? It's got to be.
Yeah, so we're going back to 2005, I think, since we won at St James's Park. With Gareth Barry splitting up Bowyer and Dyer. Yeah, so that one really, really needs to go. I want it for you, Rich, more than anyone else.
Yeah,
so you can have the bragging rights. And we need a win at West Ham. So, opening day, we've not won there in 13 years, and we've had some good hidings off them. And we need to, where's the bloody other one? I've forgotten it now.
United, Old Trafford?
No, we've done that. Oh, we haven't won at Man City for donkey's years either.
Mm.
You know, and that's always, we've had some absolute tonkins at Man City, haven't we? So let's get them free off us. Let's get them free off the back.
Yeah, facts.
Amazing. Kev, round us up. What are your hopes and dreams for the season?
Win a home cup game.
Let's
Didn't
get
we
the
win
revenge
one
on
last
Stevenage.
No, we don't-
did.
we-
You mean a domestic one?
Domestic cup game, yeah.
Did we not win a domestic cup game last year?
Nah,
We won at
beat,
Middlesbrough, didn't we?
we beat Borough away. We lost to Chelsea at home in that, and then we lost to Everton.
Oh yeah, because I remember playing a few games, but they were all fucking replays, weren't they?
Yeah, no, my realistic one is draw Bodo Glimt in the Champions League. No. So I want us to cement the top 4 spots, because I think that really would show everybody we're not a one-season wonder, and would help us to retain players and attract more players as we build this project even further forward. I want us to
Sorry,
win.
Rich, there seems to be an echo in my room because I just said all that. I don't.
Well,
Carry on.
I'm just
Trample on his
Warm
dream,
enough.
Sam.
I'm just agreeing with you, Sam. I mean, if I just disagree with you, we're going to get relegated. So I want us to win a domestic cup. So I do think it's time for us to get some silverware, and I want us to get to at least the quarterfinals of the Champions League. So that would be you've got to hope for a good draw if you get through to the round of 16. But yeah, that's my hopes. My hopes are also that we keep that Twitter type. We lose a game, Unai Emery out type at bay for as long as possible by performing, really, because we've got such a good thing going here at Aston Villa. Everything, they've got all the Adidas links, the new club shop, obviously the US tour, and we didn't win, loads of games over there, but Times Square, the revenues are improving. Obviously, the ground's sold out, so all the ticket price talk, but it's obviously going well. We've got some big money signings in, more will come through the door. This is the best it's ever been to be an Aston Villa fan in my lifetime, while I've been cognizant of the world and not a baby in arms while we were winning the lot. So I just want us to continue it going. I don't want it to be a scenario where, we're 12th in November and everyone's questioning what's going on. And then, the Spain manager leaves and, you can see what could be happening around the corner if we don't keep it going. So, and I just think the way that Aston Villa have been in the last year and a half, 2 years, has been nothing but positive. We've performed. We've won games we didn't think we'd win. I do think we'll get one of those ground hoodoos won this season. I do fancy us to go deep in a cup. I think we'll have the squad to have a go at the FA Cup now and the Carabao Cup. And I fancy us to surprise a few people, because we will be a surprise package. Let's not forget that a lot of those big European teams won't have a clue who Aston Villa are now. They might have heard from one of their granddads, one of the players at Villa were good back in the day, but they won't have seen much of us. Yeah. So, there's so much to be hopeful for this season coming up. And I don't want it to be a damp squib, but I really believe that we can do something. And Richie said it earlier about these young players. How great is it, that the other day, even though we didn't have a great result against Dortmund, and we played Athletic Club Bilbao, it was 3 academy grads that scored the goals. And, for that to be happening at Aston Villa, maybe an Archer does stay around and play, just play his part in it. Jacob Ramsey, Philogene, all these players. I've got a really good feeling about this season, despite the fact that the preseason hasn't been great.
I will echo one thing that Kev said. I think we do need to enjoy it, Like I said before, who knows when we'll be in the Champions League again. I think we need to lean into this season and sort of hold off the grumbles as long as, hopefully there's nothing to grumble about. Hopefully it's just, like Kev said, was it 7 points from the first 9 or something like that, and we're all happy. But I think we really for me, I know I'm generally a bit of I like to say realist, other people say pessimist, but I really am going to try and lean into this season and just enjoy it. Like Champions League music at Villa Park and playing these teams. Like, what are you talking about? Like, if you asked me this year we got promoted from the Championship, if I actually believed Nassif Suarez and Wes Edens in Champions League 5, I'd say they've lost their mind. They don't understand what football is. But look, we're here, boys, and I reckon we need to enjoy it as much as possible. I'm going to do my best to just be here for whatever happens this season, even if it's a calamity. It'd just be funny.
You're not going to be the ultimate. Rich Edwards has just said Mbappe at Villa Park, Champions League theme blasting out. Can you just imagine Mbappe arguing with the ref? You're just a shit Cameron Archer.
That's what I'm talking about, Kev. Like those moments, even outside of the football themselves, just to like enjoy something like that and call Mbappe a shit Cameron Archer. Like, that would be brilliant. So I'm really hoping we all enjoy it. I really do.
Yeah,
I think he's got the approach in the away games in the Champions League. I think it's got to be a bit different from last year because we were pretty shit, weren't we? The away games in the Conference League. I don't know what he's got to do. I don't know whether he's got to be a bit more bold or just a bit more brazen because we just didn't. I'm not sure what we were trying to do. Were we trying to be defensive?
Not all of them. I mean, we battered Alkmaar away and we battered Hibernian. I know they were a bit,
Yeah, that was good. The Alkmaar performance was a good one.
Yeah,
but I just didn't like. I didn't like most of the performances in the away games.
I think
I'm not sure where we were trying to do.
The one thing I would say about that is and it's not just a blind faith in Unai Emery. We know that he's smart enough to not just sit there and, although he says to the media, positive, only positive, not negative. I guarantee you, when he's looked at the season back, he'll have said, "We've done that all wrong," and that's the best thing you can have in a manager is someone who's like, "Well, look, this is not going right. We need to do something about it." And I haven't got the sense that Unai Emery's stubborn. Like you see coaches like Ange Postecoglou, he's stubborn. He refuses to play a different way. But you see Unai Emery mixing it up. Sometimes a 3 at the back, sometimes a 4 at the back, sometimes doing X, Y, and Z differently, moving players around, and you can even see it in his team selections in pre-season. Like Matty Cash, pretty horrible to watch as always. He brings on Costa, impresses him, and just carries on playing him. I think that's the right way. You obviously have to manage the players, but at the same time, I think if something's not working, he's happy to change it. So I've got a lot of faith in Unai Emery. I think he's got the reputation he has at Villa for a reason. So I'd wait and see what he does, George. I'd be interested to see if it's the same.
Not so much him. I just thought the players shrunk a little bit in some of them loud stadiums, like when we went to Lille, wasn't it? The Lille game, they looked overawed. They were overawed in Olympiacos. It's just,
but they might be overawed.
I guess inexperience. I guess.
Played Champions League. What is it? Anana's played Champions League at Lille. Who else? Does anyone else play? Did Bailey play season?
I think Bailey's played it. I think he has.
Maybe Tielemans. I don't know. Did he get a game at Leicester?
Tielemans, I was thinking, yeah.
Tielemans and Elect, I think he would have played in it.
Pau Torres.
Pau Torres would have. Yeah, I mean, there's not many. Even Emi Martinez, the world's number one, Mr. World Cup and 2 Copa Americas. He's never played in Champions League.
No.
Yeah. So it's going to be a change for everyone. And I think that's why getting Champions League next season is important. Because if we did the Conference League again this year, it wouldn't be the same as what it was last year because we've just been in it. So it's, but yeah, we have to be patient.
Can I just answer a quick question? Someone said it earlier, and I meant to mention it. Which competition do you drop into in the Champions League if you don't get through the first round? The answer to that is none.
None.
If you don't get through, there's no second prize of the Europa League or the Conference League.
It's like a league ladder now, isn't it? You play 8 games, so 4 different teams at home, 4 different teams away. If you come in the top 8, you go straight to the last 16. If you come 9th to 25th or something, you go into a playoff.
I think we're looking for playoff, really, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're not going to be.
I like the idea of this format. I think it's going to be quite exciting.
Yeah, I don't mind either because the idea is that you play 2 teams from every sort of tier of like the what do they call them? The seedings. So like
the pots.
Yeah, from the pots. So you get one from each.
It's a different game every time, isn't it?
Yeah, so you don't play like Real Madrid home and away. You might play them just at home or something like that. I just think it's nice. It means you get more variety.
Yeah,
we played. It felt like we played Chelsea like 7 times last year, so it's nice to get a bit of variety.
Yeah.
Rich,
quick question.
Should we finish on Chris's question?
Quick question. First Premier League manager to get the bullet. Kev, go on.
All of your favourite team, Man United. Ten Hag's going to be out the door. Sharpish.
Yeah, I can't stand.
See you later. Gone. Southgate in.
George.
I'm going to go Maresca at Chelsea.
That's such a good shout,
It could be sacked by this weekend, couldn't it? The way Chelsea are.
They shouldn't have sacked Pochettino. I still don't know what the hell they were thinking of.
Crazy.
They could have been right up there this year if they'd have stayed with him.
I'll go a bit left field. I'll go Postecoglou. I think he's going to walk though. I don't think he's going to get fired.
Very, very interesting.
He doesn't walk, mate.
He doesn't seem like he enjoys his job, if I'm being honest.
He's a bit angry,
What about that manager at Liverpool?
I think he'll be all right, honest. Liverpool have a long history of giving.
They don't.
He's been clever by not signing no one. Just keep low key. Just carry on what Klopp was doing. Keep your head down. Get a few wins, and slowly put your print on it, rather than try and go in there, giving it the big one, getting rid of Salah or something like that, and trying to make it all about himself. I think he's gone in there quite smart.
If we were doing a Premier League version of our list and you asked me who's going to be the dark horse this season, I'd say Darwin Núñez, you know. I think that kid's just waiting to explode.
It's going to happen eventually.
It's going to happen. He's going to be sensational at one point.
Yeah, he'll be 63, and finally it'll click.
But do you know what? You laugh. But I reckon Núñez has got an absolute player in there. Darwin Núñez. I think he could be.
He is good. He is. I think.
Yeah.
And I do think that Slot will do well. Like you say, I agree. He's kind of kept it low key. I think Nuno. I think it's a fairly straightforward one. Or what about Eddie Howe? Newcastle?
Yeah, I just saw the shout from James. That's a brilliant shout.
Yeah, because
he's lost his people on the board, hasn't he?
Joe Linton's massive for them in that midfield. Like he's such a big player for them in midfield. If they can keep him fit, I think they'll be all right. But if England come calling again, if he doesn't get the backing that he wants, he's already made a few kind of rumblings about this not being eye to eye or needing to work well with this new setup.
Because he's too Stavely and that have gone, haven't they? And they're the ones who give him the job.
Yeah.
Who do you reckon?
You didn't do your hopes and dreams, Rich. We cut you off, didn't we?
No, I just wanted to listen to yours. I totally agree. There was nothing to add to that. That was going to be my end of the show, but we've carried on talking, so it's fine. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, I think Eddie Howe, but it could well just be the normal standard. You know, Nottingham Forest don't make a good start, so Nuno gets sacked.
Who replaces Eddie Howe, by the way, if he gets sacked from Newcastle? Who goes in there?
Be a big name, won't it? No, will be a big name.
Could be
Mourinho. Reckon they try and lure Klopp back.
Tuchel, maybe someone like that. They could lure someone in.
That's a good shout. That's a good shout.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, boys, what a show! What a show! I think it is all indicated. It's all out there that Villa have a massive opportunity this season. As you've all said, we just need to enjoy it. Champions League football. Unai Emery is a manager, a fantastic young squad. All the opportunities are out there for us to have a really good season. So let's get out there and enjoy it. We've got so many shows coming up in the next few days. We've obviously got the big preview for West Ham. Myself and Gareth are going to do a Talking Tactics special on the preseason and what we might have learned from this preseason. We've got match previews with opposition. I'm going to bring in a new format to the shows about opposition previews again. And we've got Fans Forum, hopefully this week as well. So loads and loads and loads to come. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help us on the road to 5K. Boys, what a show. Thank you for joining. Thank you all for watching. And as always, remember, we all follow the Villa.